Hello, welcome to another episode of Amuse.
Make sure you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, fam.
Kia ora everyone and welcome back to Amuse. I'm Ben, head of music at Waiku College, and today for episode 16 I'm very happy and excited to have Dity from the band Coridian. Now we had Chris on from Coridian who was the drummer, but to have Dity is also, I'm very grateful. His knowledge of lyric writing and melody, I'm very excited to hear about and for him to share this stuff with you. So welcome to our show, Dity. How are you going?
Good, very good. Thanks for taking some time out to have me here. It's good.
You're welcome anytime. It's just been so fascinating and humbling to have so many people come on and share this stuff with the students, and they have actually been listening and paying attention, and it's not only for our school, it's for anybody that wants to learn, so it's a really cool place for people to share their knowledge with those that are interested. So we normally start this, if you don't know, about just asking you about how you got interested in music and your history. So do you want to talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, spanned from when I was a baby, pretty much. My mom used to always sing to me, and my brother and sister were older than me, so they used to go to primary school, and I'd be home alone, and mom would look after me, and she'd always sing, and then I just started like mimicking her and singing along with her. At the time, it used to be like old Hindi ghazals, which are like Indian love songs, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the emotive songwriting kind of stemmed from from when I was like 2 or 3, I don't know. And then, yeah, I've always been interested in music. I've always had like a creative background or passion. So I used to sing in the choirs in like primary school and high school. I went to like Catholic boys' school. So I joined the choir groups and went and did drama when I had the opportunity, and did some musical plays and stuff like that. So I was always, doing sort of things that would involve some sort of form of singing. Joined the jazz bands and did some rock quests back in the days. I played guitar those days because when you're like 14, 15, that's what's kind of cool when you're a boy. So yeah, I learned that. Everyone was doing it, and it was kind of fun. Actually, I remember the first time I played a guitar, it was at a party, and it was a left-handed guitar, and the guy taught me how to play Freshman by, what was that song? Not Stereophonic. The song Freshman from like the 90s. It's like, she was touching his face. Do.
I'm ruining it. Freshman
it.
song. Let me see.
It's like, it's got like a guitar intro, like
not the verve pipe, right?
The verve pipe. That's it.
Sweet.
Jeez,
there you go.
that was a long time ago. So anyway, I played that on a left-handed guitar, and he's like, "Well, you learned that really fast." So it gave me that confidence to be like, "Oh, maybe I should learn guitar too." It's like, if you tried a right-hand guitar, who knows what would happen.
It's easy.
So yeah, then that was that. Yeah, and then I just jammed all the time. And then probably at the end of uni, my last year at uni, my brother one of his workmates was kind of looking for a guitarist / singer for their band, and I auditioned for it. And they were kind of liked both, and they're like, "Would you prefer to sing or play guitar?" And I was like, "I could sing, why not?" And we formed a band called The Business. It was kind of like a pop punk sort of band.
Mm-hmm.
Did that for a couple of years, and then the drummer went overseas. We found some replacements, and then became Mile High. And we did that for about 5 years. And that was a good stint. Played some really cool shows, did heaps of festivals. Bucket List did the Big Day Out, 2010.
Wow.
Yeah. Mars Volta and Carnival played, and
no way.
Muse.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was a good, really, it was definitely a big bucket list gig. So yeah, after you sort of play Big Day Out, I was kind of like, oh, what do I do? So a few of the band members decided to like end it then, and they started concentrating on their family and
fair enough.
and all that. So kind of dwindled away, and then took a year off, and then met Chris. We actually gigged with Chris a lot and his old band, Altered States, and also the Rickshaws. Just one of those things, playing with lots of bands, making friends. And Chris Raven was in a couple of other projects as well, and Chuck Norris Trio was one of them.
Love that name.
Instrumental. Yeah, classic. And just I did some backing vocals for a States EP, Altered States, called Ghost Heroes, an EP, and great if you look it up. I think it's on Bandcamp. And yeah, just sort of got the itchy feeling again, like, oh, I miss singing and performing, I guess. And yeah, just sort of auditioned for Chuck Norris Trio and became Coridian.
Wow.
And yeah,
You know what
been
the
good.
cool thing is that we actually crossed paths back in your Mile High days because we played.
Yeah,
I was
you
we
mentioned.
we discussed this. Like I can't remember the name of the bar that was on Ponsonby Road.
P-
What was it?
PR bar?
I think so. There was the PR bar.
Or
Was there?
Q?
I can't remember.
Oh no,
But
it was Chapel Bar.
yes,
Chapel?
yeah, and I can't remember the guy's name who was the drummer for. He played for Decortica for a while as well.
Yeah, had an S. I
Starts
think
with a T though. First name starts with a T, but he's
Tony? Was it Tony?
can't remember. But
Tony.
anyway, no offense, we forgot your name, my good friend. But yeah, we crossed paths with you there, and so that was when I was in the
Yeah.
band Anything But Federal, and like your band members, I kind of like quit that band to focus on university and family, and then only kind of recently I got the itch, and I was like, so hard watching all my students do it. I want to be in a band again, so
Yeah.
we formed a band. But that's so
Great
cool, man.
channel.
Like the couple of things I want to touch on is like to me a lot of the Hindi music and especially like Eastern music's got a lot of like characteristics to it that really speak to if you don't mind me saying like the soul and the spirit. Do you know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
it's like some of the melodies, the intervals used, the scales. It's beautiful. Do you use some of that stuff in the music that you were writing now? Or like, so you're writing then, or you're writing now with Coridian? Do you find you're bringing some of that stuff in?
I have been for our latest album that we're currently writing and working on, especially because it's called Hava, which is Hindi for wind. So I thought, oh, might as well put some, some cultural, some of my culture into it,
Yeah.
put some of that flair. But I think probably subconsciously, I've always been quite melodic with my singing in wails, whatever you want to call it. And I can attribute that to like Hindi music, or even I used to listen to a lot of like cultural music, like Middle Eastern music and like South African music and anything that was sort of like Italian and things like just growing
Nice.
up. I loved because I felt, and I still agree, music is the universal language. You can
Absolutely.
listen to a song, you won't know the language that they're singing, but you can feel like what it's about. You can know if it's about like loss or tragedy, or if it's a emotive song about happiness or anything. You just, especially if they can do it right, you can pick up on that.
Do you remember that song,
So, yeah.
99 Luftballons? Is that right? The German punk pop song. It's like it basically translates to something like 99 red balloons. And that was in German. I had no idea what they're singing about until a band covered it. And then you got like likes of Rammstein, who I was really big into, and I had no idea what he's singing about.
Yeah,
But it just
yeah.
sounds cool, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Fascinating.
Definitely.
And the names of your albums from Coridian, tell us about the meaning of those names. I don't understand exactly what they translate to. Maybe I should go and look, but I actually haven't.
That's all right. I'm here.
Yeah.
Get it straight from is it the horse's mouth? Or the
Horse's
goat's
mouth,
mouth?
yeah.
No, horse's mouth. All right. What animal are we today?
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess in all honesty, we started off without the grand plan of this Elemental series. We didn't think would have so many releases. So the first one was Oceanic. That was our first EP. It was like 4 tracks. We chose Oceanic because I guess we're from the Pacific. We're a small little country down here, surrounded by ocean. I think Mike Raven sort of came up with that sort of title, and it was great. It worked. And I remember Caldera, so our second EP, which is about Earth. I think we're doing a tour somewhere, and we're driving through Topo, and I think Mike Raven was like, did you know that Topo is like a caldera? And I was like, what's a caldera? It sounds like a cool word anyway. And it's like it's like an old volcanic explosion, and life has come out of it, and it's just the symbolism of a caldera is amazing. And I looked it up later, and I was like, this is cool, and then kind of kept it in the back of my head. And when we came to name it, I was like, can we call it Caldera? And then they're like, yep. And then it also just symbolized what we were as a band, because we were still quite fresh with Oceanic, and then Caldera was kind of us finding our sound, and we kind of exploded and regrew and became a bit more refined and finesse, and became this beautiful lake or whatever. And this from an explosion of passion and music ideas and all that. I'm trying not to be too PR spin here, but yeah. And then
Perfect.
Elder was Elder was just fire, and I forgot. I think I titled a song Elder at one stage. The song, actually, The Witness, was working title was Elder, which became really confusing after a while. So we renamed it. And yeah, then that was just fire, and we kind of got on some of the Nordic sort of vibes
Wicked.
around that
Yeah.
with the boys. And we love our Vikings and the beards. And
Yes.
so then, yeah, I guess organically we went on the fourth element, wind, and yeah, I was like, we have to call it Hava because this is bringing some of
Wicked.
my final little
It's actually
touches.
kind of cool because all the names, even though that last one is kind of different, they all kind of have this interesting sound to it. It's not like just some title that you've actually thought about it, but they all have a interesting name as opposed to something, just a word. So I commend you for that. That's great. And in fact, the cool thing about Coridian that I really liked was that I hadn't really heard of you guys properly. I'd heard of the name, but until lockdown last year. For those that are watching in 2030, there was a pandemic in 2020, and basically what happened was I was going through and I started listening, and I'm really big about paying attention to music and attention to detail, and I was like addicted to this. Like I was like, damn, these songs are good. And then if you remember, I tried to do like a cover of Good for Nothing because I was like, these are some nice chords, and we had a big massive plan for some of my year 12 and 13 students to do a cover of it as well, because it's like
cool.
You should learn this song, man. Like check out what he's doing and this, and we really had it going, and then lockdown happens again. So this year. But what
Cool.
I'd really like to talk to you about is, because you're the vocalist of the band. Love to hear how you're writing melodies and how you're writing lyrics, because I want to know whether or not you have much input really in the music, or does the music kind of come to you? And talk to us about what you're doing, because I think a lot of vocalists that are watching the show are going to be asking themselves, how do I fit into a band where I'm not playing an instrument? And I always say to them, your voice is an instrument.
Yeah, definitely. That's used to be a lot of especially the initial reviews would get after doing shows, is they'd be like, Chris Raven is like the rhythm and the backbone of the band, and we've got Nick Raven is the bassing driving groove, and then we've got Mike on the guitars, he's like one of the lead instrument, and then we've got the fourth instrument, Maharaj's vocals and stuff like that. So it just became a thing, and I think and the way I sing, I sing a lot, and I never was really into screaming or rapping or whatever kind of thing. So, my background singing was a lot of pop songs. I used to love Backstreet Boys and and Sync and stuff like that.
Anyone that denies that they like it are wrong. They are great.
I know, right?
Great vocalists.
You play Everybody by Backstreet Boys, and everyone will start doing the dance thing.
And then they realize that they're like 23, or in our case, like 30, 38, 40, and they're like, oh, we shouldn't do that anymore. No, I agree with you, mate. I'm 100% with you on that one.
So yeah, going back to the question, when we have band practice and we work on songs, I'm just constantly feeling the music and listening to it. And sometimes certain songs, certain things that one of the guys might play will spark an idea or a melody idea or a train of like, I can hear it in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And even with the loudness of everyone else playing, I'm like, oh, and then sometimes I'll just hum it. Or I'll just start singing it with the guitar, with my mic. And sometimes it could be something that Mike does, a little lick here or there, or something even just with the chords, or it could be something that Nick does with his bass. He just hits a certain note, and I'm like, oh, that's what I got to sing. And yeah, at practice, I on this laptop that I'm on now, I record our sessions. And a lot of the times, I'm just making sounds. I'm not singing anything. I'm one of those people that write lyrics after getting the melody. I don't know, some people can write poetry or write lyrics and then try to sing around that, and that's cool. That works for some people.
Well, I mean, I'll jump in here and say that's kind of like, if you've seen Rocket Man, the Elton John movie,
yeah,
that's he couldn't write lyrics, so he had Bernie Taupin, I think his name was, who was sending him the lyrics, and he's turning them into songs. Yeah. So that's, that way.
But I guess he was also writing the piano while he was sort of like, duh, duh, duh. I've done that a few times. I've had someone say, I've written this poem, can you make a song out of it? and then I pick up my guitar and I'm like jing jing jing, like, oh yep, I can dun dun dun, like, try to
That's
force little
awesome.
lines into it. But yeah, with the band, it's that and writing lyrics. Sometimes I can feel an emotion or emotive kind of energy out of the song. So it might be something that kind of feels somber. I'm like, okay, I might write something that I'm feeling right now that's been a somber experience, and I might try to tie it in here. Or it was something that's a bit more upbeat and or angry. I might be like, okay, I might try and draw my inner angst from something, and then put this into lyrics. So it's kind of it ebbs and flows, and it can be when I write the lyrics, I don't try to I try not to be too literal. So I try to be like poetry and make it very subjective to whoever's listening to it. So I have my underlying sort of theme and tone and message, but I try to make it as almost cryptic. So someone could listen to it and pick up something out of it, and another person with a different background can pick something else out of it. And yeah, and that's why I even started doing my lyrical breakdowns, because I was like, I wonder if people kind of were in the same vein, or yeah, it'd be just good to explain what I was trying to sing.
I think those were great videos that were coming out, like when everyone was in lockdown and there was nothing more to do. It's just like, well, here, let me just tell you. Because I'll be honest with you, man, like one of the things that I quite honestly admit is that most of the time it's not that I don't listen to the lyrics, but I'm so drawn to the music and the melody itself, and then kind of like the lyrics are, especially in some of the older rock music that I'd listen to, a lot of the vocals were kind of like mixed quite back. So you could hear the melody, but you couldn't necessarily make out all the lyrics.
The words.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? And then you finally sit down with the the booklet or the gatefold of the vinyl, and then you'd read it and you'd be like, oh man, those lyrics are so cool, like. And so I guess like one of this, I'll ask you a question about a song that I really liked, and then I'd really like you to talk to me about like a song that all the stuff you've just mentioned, you can kind of give examples to about how that song came to be, right? So one of the ones was, as I mentioned, Good for Nothing. I kind of like was like humming along and singing along to that a lot of the time, like hanging up the washing outside and have like my earpods in and be like getting into it. And then eventually I like found the lyrics and really paid attention. I was like, holy moly, this is like, I totally agree with this statement and the sentiment that he's talking about in the song. Like, that's crazy. And so I'll let the listener to go and find out what that is and listen and make their own mind up about it. But I really like that one. What's a song that you can talk to? And it could be that if you want, but it's really up to you. What's a song you can talk to where you can tell us about how the band may have brought you the music and that you heard those things and it evolved into being the song that you have today? What's one that you could talk to us about?
I can talk about Good for Nothing because please the interviewer. So and a lot of times when I'm writing lyrics, I sometimes can do it while we're jamming at practice, and I'll just sort of write on my phone, or if I've got a pen and paper around. But a majority of my lyrics recently have been at like 2 a.m. or 4 a.m. I just sort of wake up and I can't go back to sleep, and my brain is just like buzzing with lyrics, and I just get an epiphany of just this brain spew of words and things, and I'm just like kind of put the brightness down on my phone and I'm kind of like don't wake up the missus and just like type away. And so I have like a Google document of all my lyrics, and I constantly jump on there and just type away. So with Good for Nothing, I think this song was kind of more of like sorry, my phone's listening and it's going, how can I help you? I'm like, oh, not right now.
Okay, Google.
Stop listening to me. Yeah, pretty much. I must have said it in some dictation. So yeah, with that song, it was a softer start. And I think I just started rambling on at practice. And then the song kind of made me feel about the themes of being good for nothing. But at the time I might have been going through something at that time. And especially I have a really hate relationship with social media. And maybe there was something that happened around the time where, like, for me, that song is about how I was brought up and how my parents brought me up to be just a good person, being empathetic, caring for other people, being selfless. Like, selflessness is a huge thing that I try to practice with my interaction with people. So I kind of felt like society has made it really hard to be that person, because you keep getting slapped in the face or taken advantage of, or people are just so ungrateful or hateful, or that was the energy that I was kind of clouded in at the time when I wrote that song, and it was kind of just like, yeah, like, but then also it was kind of a song about, it was like me questioning that, and then also me going, no, like stick to your roots, stick to your beliefs, keep being the person you want and you are, and don't let society drag you down. And then it's sort of then, yeah, during the whole lockdown time when we went to release it, other people interpreted it differently, and they're like, oh, it's kind of like all the healthcare workers right now for lockdown and all that. And I was like, yeah, definitely, like that is another great, all those essential workers who are doing the hard work, and then we get people that are just taking the piss and not taking COVID seriously or whatever, and these people are just being good for nothing. They're in the front lines for just nothing. Anyway,
isn't that a cool thing? Isn't that a cool thing where like I'll write a song, for example, and then somebody will hear it, like especially at university we were writing so many songs, and we would give the lyrics out for the class to kind of read while we performed, and then at times someone would say, hey, is this song about this? And then it's actually not, but you're like,
yeah,
no, I never thought about it that way before. That's really cool. You taught me something about the song. Yeah, do you find that a lot?
Yeah, exactly.
In this case, you did,
Of times. Yeah, and there was lots of other little things that kept popping up, and even just the band members like, oh, I could see that song about this thing that's happening here, and I'm like, oh yeah, I could see that. So I mean, and that's how I like to write my lyrics, so people can interpret it into their own sort of pocket of. Yeah.
So you mentioned you have the phone out at nighttime. Like I followed advice from Charlie Puth, who I think he's a fantastic vocalist, incredible songwriter. And he talked about how his album was called Voice Memos, because what he would do is he'd use voice memos on his phone, and anytime he'd hear a song, he would like sing it in his head, and then he would record it there. Because you and I both know if we don't do that, we'll get home and the melody's gone.
Right? Yeah.
So so you're writing all these lyrics down. Are you just like, is it just all coming out, and then you go and you edit it and fit it to the music that the band brings you? Like, how did the music to that song come? Was that already there, or how did you want it to get
it was already.
Okay.
So usually I try to nut out vocal melody at band practice when we're writing the song, and usually by the end of the night, we run it about 10 plus times. I've got a good idea of where I'm sort of going, and then when I'm writing the lyrics, I know how the song goes in my head. Because it wakes me up in the middle of the night, and I kind of know the phonics and the dictation and the syllables that I can fit into each line. And then I start working with that. And then sometimes as I'm writing something, I'm like, oh, I really want this word to be here, but it doesn't fit. So maybe I might change my melody a little bit there and just sing it faster, or draw it out, or have a pause or something. And then the melody and the words sort of start evolving each other and sort of growing. And then then sometimes I'll use those lyrics. I'll go to band practice the next time and try to sing those lyrics, and sometimes it doesn't even work. I'm like, it's lost its soul, it's lost its energy. I'm kind of forcing, it's a bit too stagnant or too ta 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 ta. I'm trying to so then I'll, even while like the guys are jamming, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna delete this word here, and okay, let's try again, and then just keep working on it. And then even sometimes in the studio while we're recording it, Zoran will be like, oh, I kind of like what you did that other time or whatever, and can you bring this here? And we're always just chopping and changing.
You kind of need somebody, I find, like nowadays, you kind of either need to be able to be straight up and honest with yourself and say that it's not like right, or you kind of need someone to challenge you on your idea, like to kind of make you see that it's not right. One of the things that someone showed me was rhyme zone. So sometimes when I'll have a word and I don't know what word I want to rhyme, because rhyming to me is quite important in my songwriting, simply because the brain, I've mentioned this so many times on these podcasts, but the brain is a pattern recognition engine. So you want, you get a hit of dopamine when you can kind of predict what the word is going to be. So as a listener, you love that, right? That's why hip hop and rap is such a powerful medium. So so like I'll come up with the word, and then I'll be like, I don't know what word to put there, and then I'll go to rhymes and I'll type it in, and there'll be all these words, and then I can kind of fit like the words before that to match up with the word I'm trying to rhyme. And man, that's been magic for me so many times.
You've opened a gateway for me now. I'll be like looking at rhyme. Usually I'm going like thesauruses. I'm a thesaurus nerd. I'm just like, I want to say sadness, but I don't want to use the word sadness. It's so like overdone or something, you know, like
Yeah.
melancholy or something. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, cool, I'll just use that, you know.
Like a great example of that,
And
and I don't really talk about my music on this at all, so I'll very briefly, but on the song When We're Gone, the second verse, I think it was, I had a couple of words and I had no idea what I was going to rhyme with, and I used this, and then I was like, oh, I've never used those words in songs before, and they make me sound like, they make me sound intelligent, so I'll just stick those here and hope no English teachers listening and reading and being like, that makes no sense, Mr.
that
Rurick.
doesn't work.
But
It rhymes, but there's no reason.
No, that's right. That's right. And so when you're here's something interesting. So a lot of people are afraid to sing, like, you know, as singers, because singing is you have nothing to protect you. That's how I always see it. Like, you have a microphone.
Sure.
You're lucky that you mentioned that you had done drama and stuff, and so you built the confidence up to be the front man of a band. That's a lot of work
Sure.
to be to have stage presence and to essentially command the stage and help make the band fit together. What advice would you give students and people that are interested in singing to get over that fear of, like, just even, you know, generating ideas, because that's quite a scary process in front of people, to then, you know, getting on stage and actually singing with conviction? I mean, that's a big question. But
It is a big question,
Yeah.
and everyone is very different. Like,
What's worked for
it took
you
me
then?
I think for me, I consider myself pretty extroverted in some ways, but I'm also very shy or reserved in other ways, so ambivert or whatever. But for me, what helped maybe with the band was knowing that I had my support crew, you know, behind me.
Mm-hmm.
I had these musicians that were playing this music, and I don't know, I just felt like we were a collaborative effect rather than just me standing by myself. So that's where it would be very it'd be a slight, I can't really relate too much to singer-songwriters, even though I've done a few like acoustic jams, but in my head I'm like, well, I know how to sing. I can do this. I guess it's probably a bit more writing because you're playing guitar and singing, so that it just depends how people can manage their nerves. But a big part of it for me anyway that helped me grow, because when I first did the business or Mile High, I was still learning how to sing in a band environment or in a rock music environment. It was just getting good feedback. You know, having people that you love, even strangers, coming up to you and going, "That was mind blowing," or whatever. Like, you know, you have great pipes, or, you know, you're such a small person, and how did that noise come out of you, or whatever. Like, things like that.
I agree with this, man. When I saw you at Ding
like,
Dong Lounge, not only were you like full of energy, like a whole bunch of energy, but you were hitting those notes, and I was like, "Holy moly, where's that coming from?"
In-ears.
Yeah,
In-ears help.
I know. That's why I'm wearing mine at the moment. I bought them and I haven't really used them on stage, so I'm just using them now.
Good stuff. So yeah, that helped me. In-ears help down the line when you got a loud cymbal in the back of your head. But yeah, it's I think there's a mixture of things. So to try to help with your students, having conviction and being proud of what you're singing as well. Like anything that you're passionate about and you love and you're confident about, you'll be happy to share that. Whether it's a song or a speech or something that you believe in. So making sure that whoever's writing a song, you're writing it you're writing the words and you're singing it and you're performing it for yourself. Like that's the number one thing that I always try to keep in mind. And then if people like the songs that we're playing, that's a huge bonus. That's like, it still blows my mind that people like our music. So for me, it's just like, I'm writing these songs because I love writing.
It's great,
but it does. Like it's such a humbling feeling of like people resonating with our music, and occasionally get, you know, feedback, and I'm like, that's amazing. That's like icing and cherry on the top. Like, I just love making music and playing music, and if it touches people's lives or whatever, or people just enjoy it, that's job done. Like, I can retire now.
No.
But yeah, I think having that and just practicing as a singer as well, practicing helps. And I signed up to Ken Tamplin. He's like this vocal coach in the States, and he has a good YouTube channel. And if you sign up to his website, he sends you emails every day or so. And I read them during lockdown, and I still read them. And as a singer, it really helped me just to go, oh, I'm not the only one that has anxiety or has like issues and I have a little bit of a sore throat and maybe I'm gonna die or like I'm not gonna be able to perform to my peak or I'm scared about this or I'm nervous about that. Like I get nervous like leading up to the week. Like even we've got a gig coming up soon. I'm like, we haven't played in like months.
Yeah.
I hope I can, do my job right. And yeah, it's just, but then having that support network, even if it's just an email that you read every now and then, you just need this confidence building thing.
Yeah,
And
I tell
singing,
my
I think
kids,
you
I
have,
tell my kids all the time that I get nervous. Like I say to them, if I'm not nervous on stage, it's then I obviously think too highly of myself, and I feel like that's kind of true. Like the nervousness is what allows you to be present in that moment to sing. Like when you're on stage and you're playing a song like something you really love and you feel everything. It's because all of your senses are in the right place at the right time, and you're like connected with the music, and everybody feels that. And as a music teacher, I mean, there have been times when I've had students sing to the class or on stage, and we're all just like goosebumps because. And then I asked them, I said, how did you feel? And they're like, man, that was amazing. It's like, that's why we do this, man. This is why we get up. We don't need validation to say that we've done it right. We just need to trust our instincts. But here's an interesting fact, though. An interesting point I always make. It's like you do get lots of people that give you good feedback, but you also, I find, if I'm not wrong, you kind of want a couple of trustworthy people that will give you some criticism just so that they can help you see the things that, because when you're in the flow or in the zone, you kind of don't know what you're doing right and doing wrong. And you kind of need that external factor, that external person to come in and say, man, this is really, really good. And they sandwich it with that. And then they say, but here are some things that I think I need to work on. But you don't take that defensively because, man, as a musician, you'll know this. We get defensive when someone says something bad about us. It's a natural instinct. Do you find that? Do you have a support network that will tell you, like, here are some things that I think you should work on? Or do you not, how does it work for you?
I think it's, I learned a lot of that in my last band with Mile High, and our guitarist, Kevin, he was good at sort of like, he was the one that sort of nudged me to getting in-ears. He's like, man, you should look at getting in-ears, it'll help you heaps on stage. And he was really good about it. And I was like, nah, totally, I get it. Like, it makes sense. But he's also, and there's a few other people, like even some of my family members or like friends and stuff would just sort of, kind of like, oh, that was really cool. But I think for that particular song, you shouldn't jump around because you really need to focus on your breathing, or you really need to like get those notes. And you were losing breath or something, or you could tell that you were struggling to hit some of those notes. And that helped me sort of, and then I'm also highly self-critical of myself and my singing.
Right?
So I'm constantly, I actually hate watching like live videos of us playing on stage because I'm like, oh, I was so bitchy.
I never do.
That was so bad.
We released one just recently. We've had for months, man, and I was like, I don't know if I want to release it.
I can't watch it.
I was so nervous as well. Like that was the Battle of the Bands final. But I tell the kids, look, even just because I've been playing for this amount of time, don't mean that I'm perfect by any means. It is a constant learning curve, and you've just got to be open to making mistakes and learning from them, man. So oh wow.
We all don't sound like the recordings on TV or on the music videos and stuff.
No.
That's all been tailor-made to sound perfect. So it's imperfect, and that's what makes live music great. You get that rawness, you get a little bit of that naturalness.
You need to. These kids need to feel what it's like. Like Big Day Out was really good, and I always found by the end of the night when you started getting the really big acts coming out on those two main stages, like that's obviously when the sound guys were pushing the volume up a little bit more. But there are some bands that I've seen that they're like, were you there when they had Rage Against the Machine? I think that was 2010.
No, that was 2000. I think I've got it somewhere. I've got a poster on the wall still. Man, that's my little claim to memories.
That was something else. That was the last act of the night, and everybody knew those Rage songs that were from our generation. But anyway, we're going to wrap it up. What I typically do, Dity, at the very end is just to ask for 3 words of advice that you think are important for any reason that would help kids, and you can explain them, but this becomes the title of your episode for a muse. So whatever those 3 words are, that's your title.
3 words?
Yeah.
Okay. Man, you put me on the spot.
I know.
You should have warned me about this.
I,
I would
t-
have written
I
down
tell
something
everyone. I tell
profound.
everyone that I'm gonna.
I have to wake up at 2 in the morning and
Yeah.
write this down. I think one is confidence. Um, truth
Nice.
and like I want to use the word like believable or but maybe not believable. Confidence, truth, and passion. Let's go for that.
Do you know what? I was waiting for you to say passion because you were on the right track and we were in the same place there. Confidence,
Yeah.
truth, and passion. They don't even need explanation. What you've told us through this episode today has been so invaluable because I think it's like getting students to hear and to know that, you know, these are some ways that I could approach songwriting and how I could approach vocals because I'm not an instrument player. I'm listening to the music, I'm hearing these melodies, I'm capturing them on my devices, I'm waking up at 2 a.m. in the morning, coming to class tired as, with a bunch of lyrics and shaping them. And I mean, that's stuff that, you know, we can teach at school, but it's so much cooler when we get it from people that are doing it, you know?
And one other small thing I could add is which I did a lot and I still do, excuse me, is listen to heaps of I listen to a lot of electronic music or music that has no lyrics in it or vocals, a lot of cinematic scores and stuff, and I just think about lyrics while I'm listening to it, and I could like, how could I sing to this? So it sort of helped build the foundation and building blocks to get my ear sort of ready to know how to maybe write some melody or sing something over just instrumental stuff. So yeah, don't be afraid to listen to instrumental music because you can sing on top of it and try it.
Excellent.
Just
Great
sing along.
advice. Great advice. So you'll stay there. I'm just going to end this video, but thanks again, guys, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for tuning in. And just to make my kids happy, because they've been asking me to, I was going to do this. It's going to be, so if you could just hit that like and subscribe button, that'd be awesome. And we'll see you guys later.
Bell icon.
Yeah, the bell icon so you don't miss the next one. All right, see you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.